Mona,
Shaun,
how are you?
good. How are you?
Great, thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
The reason I wanted to talk to you today is you have an interesting story, being an immigrant, obviously from Pakistan, and a background in journalism, which is against the norm for what is normally done in that part of the world.
Yeah.
And you started in corporate and now you do your own thing and have done it successfully for a while in the midst of a pandemic. It's a pretty interesting story. So tell us about it.
Yeah. Well, very interesting story and very kind of interesting at the same time. So I was born and brought up in Pakistan, and if you know that culture, Asian culture, if you know, I was raised in a family where we were surrounded by doctors and lawyers and engineers, and I didn't want to be any of that. And my mum is a doctor. I've got 8 immediate doctors in my family, in a very lawyers and stuff.
And they're over there?
Yes. Oh, my brother lives in Sydney.
Okay.
But yeah, few of them are in Pakistan, few of them are in US, London. We are spread all over the world.
Yeah.
But I wanted to study journalism, so I pursued my dream. And
so what was it about journalism that drew you?
I just wanted to sort of highlight and just, you know, the media and just really highlight the social issues, especially particularly for women, and just wanted to be the voice. And yeah, just was fascinating. And I did my master's in mass communication and started my career in journalism and wrote a lot about women issues, social issues, and until I moved to Australia back in 2002. And when I moved here, I wanted to pursue writing because that was my passion. However, I was also looking for a stable income and job. So I landed my first corporate role at Sensis back in the day. If you remember, Sensis was owned by Telstra. Yellow Pages, White Pages, directories was the main revenue generator for the company. So I joined there and stayed there for about 8.5 years. And then the reason I left is because they were holding on to the print revenue. Things were moving online very quickly and the values were just not aligned. So I left and moved the switch to financial services and started a role with American Express in 2011. Stayed there for another 8.5 years before I finally got the courage to pursue my passion and long-term sort of dream of owning something of my own. So Avant Tech was born from that in 2020, unknowingly before COVID started.
Right, so COVID rolled through here when it got bad, early March 2020. So you must have started it at the very start of 2020.
I still remember I went to Pakistan to set up because my story was, the reason I started Avant Tech was because I wanted to create a bridge between my 2 home countries, Pakistan being my first home country, Australia being my second home country. And I still remember went there, set up my small office. I think I had a team of 2 back then, and pandemic started. And I was hearing stories. My husband, Damien, he goes, oh, you know, there's virus coming, and then, you know, they're putting some restrictions on travel and this. And it wasn't that big over there, like, you know. And anyway, I decided to come back. And the day I landed, they had the restrictions where you had to quarantine at home for 7 days. So, yeah, and I'm like, whoa, what have I done? I've just left a really good corporate career behind me, and you know, I was a bit shaken. But when I look back now, I think that was the best thing that happened, even though it was pandemic. But I think that also gave a lot of opportunity and moved so many businesses online where they didn't even think they could operate online. So back then, I was really scared as to what I've done. Have I made the right decision? But now looking back 6 years later, that was the best thing that happened to me.
Yeah, 6 years, yeah.
Yeah.
So starting a business generally is hard, let alone when a pandemic rolls in.
Yeah.
So how did you navigate the initial start? Like, how did you get your first lot of clients, and how did you keep yourself motivated and not panicking and all of those things that are kind of just part of starting a business?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So I bootstrapped my business. I had no tech background. I had no business background. I just had a vision and a burning passion. And I still remember it took me a few months, and then obviously pandemic on the top of everything else, and you could not go and meet with people, which was what I was really good at. You know, during my corporate career, I was in sales and marketing, building relationships, and that's where my strengths skill set comes in. And we weren't able to do any of that due to the pandemic, but I really leveraged. Zoom became my best friend, and LinkedIn was my second best friend, and I just networked, virtual networking, if you remember back in the day, and just joined a few business communities, really connected with so many amazing people who helped me, inspired me, mentored me. Still took me a few months to get my first client because we had no portfolio. You know, I just had a story and I had a vision, and I still am very, very thankful to the first few clients who put their trust into me and gave me a chance, and we delivered. And then, but it was a very tough ride, I must say. I laugh about it now, but I remember I used to be in tears every few weeks. What have I done? And people said to me who knew me really well, they were like, do what you're good at and business will come, you know, and just be genuine and be real. And that's what I did. And then suddenly, Shaun, I think it was maybe 4 to 6 months mark, and then it just started snowballing. And then obviously we delivered some amazing work, and the word goes, and I always believe in the good word goes around very quickly, bad word goes around even quicker. So we wanted to make sure that we, you know, I put my heart and soul and everything into it, and it paid off.
And you've gone from strength to strength.
Strength to strength.
So how you started with yourself and a couple of developers and designers helping you in Pakistan?
Yes.
How big is that team now? How much has it grown?
We are a team of 15 now, and that is made of designers, development team, and project managers. And I mean, we've been we work across 3 main sectors. So we've got the web development arm of the business, where we help establish brands to uplift their presence online, e-commerce stores, SaaS platforms. Then we work on more complex, large platforms, applications, mobile apps, and we've got a third arm of the business, which is staff augmentation, where we provide dedicated team models to businesses who have got a vision, and they've also got tech resources internally, and they want to expand on that in a hybrid model. So we also provide them with dedicated team models and resources, staff augmentation.
We're now in the midst of another disruptive, not a pandemic, but you could say it's definitely going global, the AI revolution. How are you seeing that impact your business in being in development, where that is now accelerating so fast that the emergence of new stuff means that by the time you've caught up to it, there's something new? So it's almost always moving faster than what anyone can kind of keep up with. And the people that are sort of keeping up with it are definitely in the minority at the moment. How are you adopting or leveraging all this stuff out there now to help your clients and help Avant Tech, grow?
Yeah, look, I think AI is not going to replace founders. It will seriously replace inefficiencies. And I think we are definitely using it to our advantage, because we can show a prototype to our clients by using so many tools which are out there so much quicker. And we... sorry, I've just lost my train of thought.
AI as a tool for your business, like what are you seeing in the industry? What
we're seeing in the industry, obviously, people come to us and it's actually helped us in many ways, because they've got an idea and they go to their friend Claude or Replit and stuff, and then they show us this is what they want to develop. And sometimes they can't put that brief in writing, and that really gives us that sort of head start in understanding their concept and what they're trying to build. And obviously based on that then speeds up the process. And you mentioned something about the competitive edge. I think that window of competitive edge has also shrinked with businesses. You can have a competitive advantage, and then somebody else comes into the market, and by using some AI tool, and then that gap can be very quickly shortened. Things which were taking 5 years now taking 18 months. So it's AI has just started speeding up a lot of the processes, and I think people or founders who are embracing it will be the ones who will be more successful rather than trying to, just fight against it. Yeah.
Do you think it's a good thing for your business?
It's absolutely a great thing for our business, and we use it in many ways to make processes more efficient. Our development team uses it as well. Obviously, we still are very much custom coding and everything, but we take the help of AI wherever we can.
Yeah. What advice have you got for someone that's considering jumping ship? They might have a job you would say is cushy, corporate job, or a job where they can rely on the income and it's predictable, but they've got a bit of a burning passion like you had to start something for themselves, to build an asset, and they're scared.
I would say don't do it if you are not prepared to really, like I always say, I've got a son, and running a business and becoming a mum, they're both kind of pretty much on par, very, very two hardest things I've done in my life. And it looks very attractive from the outside. It takes a lot of guts, and really belief in yourself to really make the mark. And I'm not saying don't do it, because I want to encourage people, but it's the best thing that I've ever done in my life. Like, I wouldn't change what I have built, but it was also the hardest thing that I've done in my life, and the challenges. And I just think, like, when you're a mum, it prepares you. Every stage of motherhood prepares you for the next stage. Similarly, when you're in business, every challenge prepares you for the next challenge. You have a challenge, you overcome that. Next time you have a different challenge, but because of your experience, how you've dealt with the first one, you just become more experienced, and you know how to deal with issues and problems more resiliently.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. So if you remember that first 4 to 6 months, which I'm sure you do, what's the biggest piece of advice you could give someone who is going to do that jump?
Yeah.
And they're jumping into the dark.
Yeah. What's the
one bit of advice you'd give them?
I think the first thing they need to do is they need to believe in themselves. They need to know that this is something, they have a vision, they believe in it, and because there is going to be noises all around you. Why did you do it? You're not going to be able to make it, because you'll be surprised how many people will try to bring you down. But you need to have that mindset and that strength within yourself that this is your passion, this is what you want to do, and you just follow that passion, and you just become, I would say, stubborn, and just stay laser focused on the path that you want to take, and have a plan. Obviously, you need to have a vision and a plan, and support around you. Like for me, my success came from my team. I had a vision, but if I didn't have a good team behind me, I was never going to get anywhere. And trust me, I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of hiring mistakes as well in the beginning. But they all taught me. All those mistakes taught me how to hire better the next time. We said yes to everything in the start when we were trying to win clients. And later I realized I don't need to say yes to everything. We know who we want to work with and how we want to work with. So I just think if somebody out there is looking to start something, and they are in that their comfort zone, which is where I was for many, many years, because I wanted to start this business. I tried 3 or 4 times. That wasn't the first time that I tried. I had my son back in 2017, and I decided, that's it. I'm now going to start my business. And then I realized I can't do this. I'm a new mum, and I can't start a business. And then I tried to start this as a side hustle, and you can't do things half. When you're running a business, you need to be all in, otherwise it's not going to work. So I think that really passion, that burning desire really becomes your driving force in the success of whatever you want to do, and always align yourself with the right like-minded people around you, and have mentors. I still remember the first time I got my first client, and I don't know how to invoice, and then and it's a very small, stupid thing, silly thing to say, but and then obviously we've got great accounting partners, bookkeepers. So I've got to, obviously you have to have a right team around you, and then you find what you are good at and what you want to delegate, because you can't win or be successful on your own. You need to have the right team around you and the right support around you. And my support was also my husband. He knew I was taking a chance, and he fully supported me, and I couldn't have done that without him.
Yeah. So you mentioned passion a couple of times there, and your passion was journalism.
Yeah.
And we're now, you're 24 years you've been here. I'm not mistaken. My maths is good.
Yeah. Don't ask my age, but yeah.
No, I won't. That's okay. But journalism was your passion. You wanted to bring a social voice to women in Pakistan and those social issues, and that was your driving force then. How is that applied, or that passion now transferred over to Avant Tech?
Well, after being in the corporate world for 17 and a half years, dealing with businesses, obviously, always, the passion changed. I really wanted to help SMEs. And as you know, that Australian market is made of more than about 85-90% SME. It's an SME market.
Yep.
And during my corporate career, I was dealing, especially in the last 7 to 8 years, I was dealing with more mid to large size organizations, and that was my expertise.
That was with Amex?
Amex, correct. But there was a massive gap in the SME space with the right sort of, because you can't scale a business, especially in this day and age, if you don't have the right tech, if you don't have the right systems and everything in place. And that's where I saw the gap in the market, and that connected that with my passion, which was to bring Pakistani talent into this market and create that bridge. So the passion was, in this instance, was to really help SMEs and startups, and particularly startups who are very experienced in their industry. So they've got an they've got an established business in their industry, and now they're trying to solve an industry problem through tech. We love to work with those type of founders and help them bring their visions and whatever they're trying to solve for their industry in the form of a platform.
Yeah. What's on the roadmap for Avant Tech in the next, I think it's really hard to sort of project almost past a year now because of the speed of where things are going, and you can sort of want to go there, and whereas you could go 5 years and you might diverge slightly, but now you can really, things can move really quick. What's on the roadmap for Avant Tech? What are we going to see from you guys?
Well, the roadmap for Avant Tech is to become, obviously, keep growing the way we're growing in the Australian market, but the next 12 to 24 months vision right now for us is we are expanding into Dubai and Saudi. And so that's definitely a market. Australia is a great market, and will always be our primary market, but we were looking for a global expansion and looking for different markets, and there is a lot tech innovation going on in that region, and we want to now go and replicate the same model and help founders and build those long-term partnerships with businesses in that region.
Is there a good small business, medium-sized business market in those regions?
Yeah, there is. Dubai, definitely. It's saturated, obviously. Dubai is quite saturated now, but there's still a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of innovation going on, and in Saudi as well.
So how did you find that? That's quite a niche-y. Like, a lot of people would say we'd love to expand into the US,
Yep.
or Europe.
Yep.
I mean, the Middle East is becoming more and more in that conversation, but you've gone straight there. What is it about that region?
A lot of people ask me that question, like, have you thought about doing this in US? And I just say, I will never sleep if I introduce US. I will have to really clone myself. And Dubai, MENA region, is a very, very interesting and emerging market.
Mm-hmm.
And from a time zone perspective, I can really justify, especially, moving into a market where I won't have to give up my night's sleep and stuff. I can, it's a good time zone. It's a great market. The current team which we have established can also be used from a deliverable point of view for that market as well, because it's it's the same time zone as Pakistan.
Oh, okay. What
about
about
2 hours?
Yeah. So what about the barriers to get in there for someone like you living here? I know you went to Dubai, I believe, recently.
Yep.
To maybe reconnaissance sort of stuff, or just to figure a few things out on the ground.
Yep. I've been there a few times now in the last 12 months just to figure things out. They are very open to, they are really embracing, anybody who wants to come and sort of help them uplift their economy and help the businesses and entrepreneurs there. They're very welcoming. They're amazing. They're really sort of a good market and good people to deal with. That's what I've seen so far. And setting up a company and business there's a lot of help available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of a cultural hurdle that you're finding?
Yeah, look, a lot of people say, it's a very male-dominated sort of environment. I mean, I have worked in my corporate career in very male-dominated industries.
Yeah.
Even in tech is quite a male-dominated, so that has never been a hurdle for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I have never seen that as a hurdle. Yes, it is a male-dominated industry, and it's okay. I have done that before, and I'm happy to do that again. And they're also very respectful.
Okay.
I think they're also very open. They're being more open-minded to really embrace that female leadership and really promote that gender diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I don't see that as a challenge.
Yeah, great. And when do you think you'll be in there or have that foothold ready to go?
So we probably in the next 8 to 12 weeks is when the company will be set up operating in Dubai, which will then obviously help us go into Saudi as well. And yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
Maybe in 12 months' time I can answer that question a little bit better.
Yeah. So you'll be running things from here with the Australian market and the Middle Eastern market. Is it are you going to follow the same playbook that you used to build your footprint here over there? Will that work, do you think, given it's a different culture?
Yeah, look, I think I will definitely, I'll follow the same blueprint, because that has worked for me my whole career. And then also since I started my business, yes, obviously it won't be as easy and smooth considering I'm based in Australia. So there will be a lot of travel involved. Mm-hmm. And that, with obviously my son being school going, will be challenging. But if it's not challenging, it's not fun.
Yeah.
I get bored.
Yeah. So I do see you out and about at a lot of events, and that I think is your strength, your feet on the ground, talking to people, meeting people. You do that very well. When you can't do that because you're here and not there, what's going to be the way to replicate that? How are you going to do that?
So I already have somebody in Riyadh, a BDM, who will be taking care of, or at least doing whatever she can while I'm not there. And then obviously a few trips a year will also help. We are also in discussions with creating some partnerships with companies over there. Mm-hmm. And that has also been a winning formula, and the strategic partnerships in this market. So we will replicate the same model in Dubai and UAE and Saudi.
Yeah, that's fun. Very good. I noticed you spotted a friend when you walked in here earlier.
Yeah.
Jackie. How do you know Jackie?
So Jackie, obviously, as you know, she was part of a same business club of United Business Club.
I only found that out like 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, I never bumped into her.
Very interesting, because she was there because you've been there since forever, and so have I.
2020.
Oh, so yes, so that's when I started joined Cub as well. So Jackie was there. That's she's a great friend and a really, really amazing lady. Very helpful, and we became friends actually outside Cub. This was my days when I was just networking with anyone and everyone on LinkedIn, and we connected and we had a coffee in South Melbourne. I think she had she was trying to build her business. It was a gifting platform. I don't know if you know about that. And that's how we connected. And then I realized she was part of Cub as well. And then, we've just been friends. I've made a lot of friends out of Cub. So, we stayed in touch. And then I think she left, and now she's part of Backable.
Yeah, she's part of Backable. She's been here about 8 months.
She loves it.
Yeah, Jack's a lot of fun.
She's a lot of fun. We've had some amazing fun times, fun nights together.
Yeah. The importance of networking, I think, my observation, I haven't really done much of it in Sydney, but I think it's really important in Melbourne because of the way Melbourne businesses tend to want to. There's a coffee culture, it's very relationship based, and I haven't been up in Sydney enough to really accurately make that comparison, so I'm not going to do that. But I know you're a part of a lot of groups. For someone who is considering starting up and they're like, how do you even get your first client? I wouldn't even know how to do that. Like if I'm in this company and I just get a brief and I'm an account manager or whatever, and now I've got to go to the other side and actually get the client, how important is that? Like you have to get out there and actually put yourself out there.
Yeah. I think you need to, if you go with the mindset that you're not selling something, but you're solving a problem for somebody, I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's what has been the winning formula for me always. And it's not just a winning formula. I mean, if you're trying to help people, you're trying to make their life easy, their business, helping them scale the business, helping them to do things differently, which is going to create some sort of efficiency or give them some sort of benefit that will help them with the growth. You don't need to sell. You're just solving a problem for them, and the sale comes naturally. And what was the other question, sorry?
It was, no, you kind of answered it, which is really when you have to go out and find a client, if you like. That's probably one of the biggest barriers I would imagine when someone wants to start their own thing. It's like, how do I even find someone who's going to pay me so I can do this?
Well, I think that's naturally you can't just just get up and start. So I've got this product and I want to sell it. You really need to go and understand your market. Like what problem are you solving for somebody? If it's a business, if it's a consumer, whatever your target market is, and how is that solution resonates with their problems. And I think that becomes, and even like I think to the previous question, that if somebody's looking to do something and they're in their corporate role and stuff, you really need to focus on why do you want to do this? Yes, obviously. And don't do it for the freedom, because you will not get freedom. That's what I thought. That's what every businessman, every business person who start their business thinks. The myth that, I'll do things in my own time. And so that will be taken away. So you won't even have the weekends to yourself. But it's also that, what problem and how you trying to help someone, if it's a business or an everyday person, what problem are you solving for them? And if you can scale that, and if there's enough of that in the market and you can get some portion of that market share, I think you will do well.
Yeah.
But if you just do it for the wrong reasons, that you just don't like your boss, or you don't want to be in this, the corporate slavery, that's not enough.
Yeah.
That's not enough to be successful.
Yeah. What's the biggest thing that will blindside someone who's let's say you're not dissuading them from taking this jump, and they're like, look, I know what I'm going to do. I have that idea and I've thought everything through. What haven't they thought of?
Or there's so many moving parts. There is not one moving part. They might, they might think in their head that they have found a problem and a solution for that problem, but until they go and talk to people, it's like when we build a product. So people when come to us, different off topic, but just same sort of formula. So if somebody comes to us, it's a founder, they've found a problem in the market, now they want to solve it with a tech platform, and they've got like these 50 features that they want to implement. And we always say to them, just to test the market first, build lean, build fast, iterate, get feedback, and that's your winning formula, like in the long run. Similarly, if you are in a very good, comfortable job and you want to start something of your own, you need to have that much sort of confidence that this is a scalable product or solution that you're trying to solve, and talk to mentors, talk to business consultants. There's a lot of help. There's so much. There's so many resources out there, and maybe try it as a side hustle. I'm not saying that because I didn't do it. I'm not saying that can't work. It can work. And then when you're confident, then take that leap of faith.
Yeah. For Avant Tech's growth, do you envision a scenario in the future where you're sort of out of the hustle, or do you love the hustle so much that that's you and that's your lane and you're good at it, you're going to stay in it, or are you going to replace yourself at some point, do you think?
I would love to clone myself, and I'm looking at doing those things. I'm joking. I love the hustle, but I also take too much on myself, and I think that's something I'm now slowly learning if I want to scale, especially into international market. I love the people, the building relationships, the meeting new founders, meeting new people, networking. As people say, you're always out, but I'm out for a reason. I love that part of my role. There is a lot of other stuff that I do that I can easily delegate, and I'm slowly offloading it to other people. And yes, I will build a sales team. I come from sales background, so I'm very picky, and I know how sales people's mindset works. So it's hard for me to hire somebody who will be thinking the same way, because it's my baby.
Yeah.
It's a baby that was born in 2020, and if I have to hand this baby over to somebody, I have to be very, very careful.
Yeah.
Because it's a brand that it's Avant Tech, but it's also Mona as well.
Yeah.
In a way, it's so yes. To answer your question, I will always be hustling to some extent, but there's a lot of parts that I will be delegating in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah. With your home life, family, you've got Damien, you've got Zane. He's what, 8 now? 8.5. Yeah. 8.5. How do you juggle the business and family? Because that's probably a big thing that would rattle around in people's heads. Like I traditionally the evenings is home life time. We have dinner. I want to be able to get the kids from school, all kinds of sort of things. And that is a bit more of a flexibility that people have these days with a job.
Yeah.
And that can sometimes get really thrown out of whack if you've got a big deliverable that is running behind for whatever reason. So how do you juggle family life, and what's a non-negotiable for you around the family and the work?
So that definitely is a constant juggle. I have got a great team behind me, and they manage most things. But the mum guilt comes in all the time. I wouldn't say I've mastered it. It's a constant work in progress. I do work late nights, not every night, but most nights, especially when we have got big deliverables and we are working on.
Is that because of the time as well?
Time zone as well, and and some big amazing projects that we are currently working on, and I do have that a little bit of a controlling nature, control freak, you can call it. But I try and completely switch off on the weekends now and spend time with Zane and Damien, you know, and I try and be there as much as I can, but can I do more? 100%. And that was, I try and be at Zane's basketball games every Friday night. And obviously he's at that age now where he feels it if I'm not there.
Yeah.
You know, the older they get. So, yeah, it's a constant juggle, Shaun. That's what I say. It's people think they get freedom when they start their business. It's actually the other way around.
Yeah.
You know, because it's your own thing, and you just have less. How I put it is, you will just have less time for yourself. So you will have to compromise maybe your time in order to balance that work and life, like work and personal life. But at the same time, I must say I'm a little bit selfish when it comes to that. If I want to give my full attention to my son when I'm with him, and full attention to the business when I'm working, some of my negotiables to keep myself sane is also very important to me, which is going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week, or going for long walks just to clear my head, just to stay sane. Because if I'm not sane, if I'm not mentally sane, then nobody's going to see the best version of me, and that's not good for anybody.
Yeah.
My family or my business.
Yeah. Health's super important.
Health is very important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a constant juggle. I think even if I replace myself, even if, you know, you have one day, maybe I'll get there, but I haven't mastered it yet. Have you? Maybe you can give me some tips.
No, I think it's a continuous battle. Sometimes you think you're ahead.
Yeah.
And sometimes you think you're not.
Yeah.
And you just sort of roll with however you're feeling on that day.
Yeah.
The things that I think you can control, and being conscious of your health and your sleep and your diet and all that stuff, does have a compounding impact on how much more the better days come along.
Yeah.
And if you have bad sleep and don't eat well and don't look after your health, it can compound into having more of the negative days.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you're in a similar industry. Building tech platforms, dealing with expectations, clients, it's a big responsibility. So you need, your mental health is also very, very important and to manage stress, because not everything is in your control. And there's so many moving parts of every project that you work on. So yeah, I think it's super important for me. I think I'm a better person. I say to my family, I'll be a better person if I go to the gym. So let me go to the gym.
So you manage stress with gym?
Gym and sleep. Yeah. These are my 2 things. Even though sleep, again, that is also a topic for another day, because, again, sleep is not something I do constantly juggle with. I do have a very... when we wake up in the middle of the night and you can't go back to sleep. So I'm trying. I've never been into meditation, but that's something I want to do this year, because people have said to me, I've never been a believer. I just get bored with meditation. I can't switch off.
Yeah.
But because I've got such a racing mind, and there's always so much going on in my mind, that I'm going to be now doing that to see if that can help with my sleep.
I spoke to someone last week, Dan Copsey.
Oh, yeah.
And he went for a 12-hour walk without his phone. Sorry, he had his phone, but no music.
Yeah.
No headphones. Just walked for 12 hours. And he said the first 6, his mind was racing. And the second half, he was in a flow state and was writing things down in a little pad that he had and solved a whole lot of problems. And he was like, unbelievable. I recommend, doing that if you've got a spare 12 hours.
12 hours, I'll think about that. But no, it's because we're constantly, we are obviously running a business, having a family, dealing with issues. And then we have time, then listening to podcasts, and not talking about this podcast.
Doing podcasts.
Doing podcasts. Audiobooks, because I listen to and I came to a point at the end of last year, and I was going to the gym and I was listening to a lot of podcasts. And I needed a break. Sorry, not podcasts, beg your pardon. I was listening to a lot of audiobooks.
Business audiobooks? Or
business audiobooks, inspirational, personal development. But it came to a point I was like, I'm just taking a lot in. I need to now process this. And I stopped listening to books and music. I know it sounds really weird. And I was going to the gym and I'll just have listened to the music which was playing in the background and not actively listen to anything. And I think that was really good for me.
Yeah.
It was good for me. When you're constantly absorbing information, you're not processing it.
Yeah. What do you think your biggest strength is?
My biggest strength is, I think, well, I would think that I'm a very sort of genuine person when it comes to, I'm an authentic person. I like to have those open and honest conversations, whether it comes to clients, whether it comes to friends, whether it comes to family, at a time before it's not too late. And I think that has helped me and not helped me in some situations. But my biggest strengths are, like, I want to build a relationship with somebody before I want to do business. Because I think, and I believe on building authentic, trusted relationships with people. If I can do something, I'll move mountains. But if I can't, I would rather tell you that I can't.
Yep.
So I think that really helps.
And is that a lesson you've learned along the way?
Yeah. Like I said, I think I mentioned earlier in the podcast that we said yes to everything and anything in the beginning. And then I realized it's not going to be good for anybody at the end of the day, because they will be disappointed. We will be not able to deliver what we have committed to. Because like when I started the business, I wanted to have a full suite. We wanted to be a development agency. We wanted to do marketing. We wanted to do SEO, everything. And then we realized that if you do everything, you don't do anything. So then that's when I really niched it into, we are a software development agency. We are designers. We do discovery, we do design, we do development, and we do ongoing maintenance. Anything outside that, we have partners. And I think that's for me, that took a lot of noise out, and we could seriously laser focus on things which we were good at and scale that. Another thing with AI you asked me earlier, was I think AI, you can actually deliver a lot more by having leaner teams. So I don't want to have a team of 50 or 100. I think these days, if you're using the right tools, if you're using the right processes, you can have a very successful business, even with a leaner team.
Yeah. Where do you think you can improve? So you've gone through your strengths. What do you reckon is the gap that you're trying to work on?
I can definitely improve on letting go of things. Letting go and just trust in the process.
Is that the plan this year?
Yep. We'll start with the meditation and then we'll see how that goes. Strength and the kind of strength, because I don't want to let my clients down.
Yeah.
And I think when we work, and that's where that controlling piece comes in, but also giving that transparency, and then also it kind of works against me at times as well, that I will invest my time and energy too much into something which I can easily let go, and that's something I'm learning.
Yeah. What about outside Avant Tech? Is there any time for anything else that you have going on?
Yeah. The three seconds that I had, I thought, well, let's expand into a global market. So, we're doing that. Look, I mean, as you would know, being a mum and a business owner, the only extra spare time I have is for my family. Even like, you will see me networking, and people say, you network, you're always out, you're always this, you're always that. And yes, I have actually built some great friendships by networking as well, don't get me wrong, but I'm doing most of that for my business, while building obviously relationships and meaningful partnerships and those kind of things. But any spare time that I have, that is for my family. And the only things that I don't the only things that I like to do outside that is going for walks, going to the gym, listening to audiobooks, listening to different podcasts. And I do, part of the global expansion is that I love to travel. So I thought, okay, maybe I can, kill two birds with the same stone.
Yeah. Yeah, very good. I've got one more question for you. What can you do today that the tomorrow version of yourself is going to thank you for?
What can I do today? Oh, that's an interesting one. I think just let go of things which are out of my control and not spend that time elsewhere. That's a constant battle for me, and I'm a perfectionist, and that's a weakness, I think, in me. So that is a work in progress. I think if I can then dedicate that time doing other things, that will be more beneficial for me personally and for business.
And is that because you think the tomorrow version of yourself will be less and less bound by that feeling to be in control, and then it's gradually going to mean you can give away certain things?
Yep. I can, I can focus on things. I might be able to do more things for my personal development or learn a new skill. And I wanted to take up, my family makes fun of me now, but at the start of 2025, I said I wanted to learn hip-hop dancing. And the whole year went past, and my son and my husband, they're saying, so how's the hip-hop dancing going? So now we've just started 2026, so let's see if I can let go of some things and learn hip-hop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That would be interesting. That would definitely make a splash at a networking event if you started doing some hip-hop dancing.
I know, it's just the thing. I want to learn hip-hop dancing.
Yeah. Well, the whole elevator pitch that people always get you to do, if you did it to a breakdance or the worm.
Yeah, worm.
People would remember you. Oh, yeah.
The worm lady. The worm lady.
That's personal brand right there.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, Mona. You've got some exciting stuff coming. We look forward to hearing how you crack into the Middle East.
Thank you. Thanks, Shaun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, pleasure.